Hello. In this video, we're going to look at a Blood Necromancer for the pre-launch of Diablo 4. This is my build that I'm going to play in hardcore. I'm not racing to 100. I don't care about that. I will take my time to play the game. But this looks like a tanky character, a fun character, and maybe it'll be a good build for you too. All right. So I'm playing hardcore, and this build is going to index on not dying because that's what I hate in hardcore. Dying sucks. So the way we do damage in this build is with Overpower. All right, there's two ways in this build to guarantee it. All right, we have Blood Surge. Where is it? This one, Blood Surge. Every 5 casts, we actually get an automatic Overpower. And with our last passive in the skill tree, we get, after 15 seconds, we get guaranteed Overpower. Also, every cast has a 3% chance to Overpower. We can't change that. It's just kind of built in 3%. So we don't really rely on that. Unfortunately, this is going to be just for the guaranteed versions. Everything else is going to be for obviously damage and also damage reduction. So quickly, we'll look at gears, then skill tree, then Paragon, and then we're going to look at, I have a cheat sheet with the damage reduction as an example to see, or just to show you how tanky this character can be. Right, we have no minions also in this setup as a Necromancer because we benefit from the skill tree here, the passive where we get more damage reduction and also more sacrifice bonuses. So gear here, pretty generic stuff. This one's not too high priority, just heal whenever you're close range. This one is very good. You want this on, I think, every hardcore build ever. 20% DR, amazing. You take that always. More attack speed when we overpower. We do this all the time, so big increase to our attack speed. We're playing hardcore, so all of the defensive stuff are going to get them. So you get a berry whenever you damage an elite. Obviously want that. When you're CC to get unstoppable, again, in hardcore, you definitely want this 100%. This makes our main spell, Blood Surge, Echo. So it repeats itself and it does up to 60% less, which is good. That's like a 40% increased damage. We want this. This is very good. This is our busted one that we want the plus 50% effectiveness. If you look at the little tooltip down there, plus 50%. This is the busted one. And we don't know if there's going to be nerfs to this or to any build because on patch release, on game release, there's like a new patch 1.0, and there's going to be balance changes that we don't know about, right? I think overall this build is pretty safe because none of this is like, I don't think Blood Necromancer was really high up there in the tier lists, right? However, this is really good. It's actually kind of disgusting how good it is. Not as good as like the Whirlwind 80% crit, but still pretty good. So up to 30% crit chance, 90% crit strike damage on our tendrils for 6 seconds. Why is this busted? Because this skill makes no sense. We max it because we want the lower cooldown on it. This thing slows enemies, it pulls them, it stuns them for 3 seconds, and it applies vulnerable on top of giving you 30% crit chance and 90 crit damage. And it has an 8.8 second cooldown. It lasts for 6 seconds. Honestly, kind of disgusting. We heal a lot with our main ability, our core ability, Blood Surge. So this allows us to regen some resource that way. More attack speed, always good. And extra crit chance against enemies that are injured. These aren't like super locked in place. Some of them are, like this one. Obviously, it's way too good to ignore. But some of them are kind of whatever, especially this one. I put this on helmet for a specific reason, because if we get super lucky, which we won't, but maybe down the line, we can actually use Harlequin's Crest. I'm on Copium, but that'd be really cool. I think every build is going to want this, by the way. 20 DR and +4, all skills. Stupid good. But I will not include that in my starter build here because that is ridiculous. We love rubies in this build. Rubies is overpower damage. It's also % max life. Honorable mention to sapphires for damage reduction here, and to skulls for healing. They're all good, but I think life is better because it's not just defense, but it's also offense. The way overpower works is that whenever you overpower on a skill, it adds your max life and fortify, and it multiplies that by whatever your overpower % is. Right? It says 287 here. It is far higher than this, more like 500 or 600. Why? it doesn't calculate everything, but that's not the point. All right, so it adds that as a sum, multiplies that with whatever the percentage here, and it can also crit, by the way. Overpower can crit. So TLDR, it is damage multiplier over damage multiplier. It's very good, right? So tankiness makes us do more damage with overpower. Good. So TLDR, get life. Life is good, right? But honorable mention again to Sapphires for damage reduction, but I think we have enough of that. So back to Ruby. And for this one, whatever res you need, honestly, it could be whatever res you're missing or just a diamond for res to everything. We sacrifice minions because they give us bonuses, and it's nice. All right, we get 18% damage reduction on the skill tree. This is increased by 60% minimum, so this would be 8% crit chance. It's nice. This is also crit damage, nice, and this is overpower damage. All of these stats are good, and they're all increased because of our passive down here. So, well, the golem one isn't increased by this one, but the other two are. So that's it for this. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. On the skill tree, we are a blood necromancer, so we're going to take the blood basic ability. We max out blood surge. It's our main DPS. Very good for clearing, good for single target too, because of the fact that it overpowers every 5 times that we cast it while healthy. More damage here, more cost of essence. We max blood mist 100% because we want the lower cooldown. This also generates corpses for us, which is very good. I'll show you why later in the Paragon board. Damage reduction while close range. We're meant to play close range on this build. Damage to curse enemies, always good. Decrepify is insane, 20% less damage for 1 skill point is insane. We get Culling Strike here, nice little bonus. Now Corpse Tendrils, for the obvious reason I said earlier, it is an insane ability. You absolutely want to use that. Most of the blood stuff here, we get more healing while low life. While healthy, we do more damage. Overpower more damage, and a chance to fortify on all blood skills. Nice. Also, just to be clear, I missed this here. The main way we fortify is through our basic ability, also through blood orbs, and also with the passive that we just saw here, we get a chance to fortify also on any blood skill. So our ultimate and also our core ability, which is blood surge. We get that. Blood wave is decent. It's more of like a panic button, right? It pushes back enemies. It also slows them, but it also generates blood orbs, which regens our HP, right? Which is nice. Damage reduction here, and the same thing here. That's fine. Not insane for our last little passive here, but 10% life, decent, and it also guarantees an overpower also every 15 seconds. All right, that is it for our skill tree. Onwards to Paragon. All right, I'll look at this really quickly. I don't want to look at every node individually, but I will say this: if anyone is concerned or scared about the Paragon boards, it is actually very simple to understand. We have a basic board here, starter board. Every Necromancer is going to have the same one here. Then afterwards, when you connect here, you're going to have, you can connect whatever board you want. There is, I think, 8 or 9 per class. And I'm going to be honest with you, most of them are trash when it comes to legendary nodes. This is underwhelming because they were trying to sell these nodes as something to build around and something insane. And there are a few select ones for other classes that really are build enabling, right? So this is a good node for us, but it's not anything special. We're paying 4 points for this. It's average at best. It's not that great. This one is very good though. When 2 corpses are nearby, you gain 15% DR. I take every DR that I can because again, I'm playing hardcore and I just don't want to die. All right, so this one, beautiful. Other one here, it's good, but it's not insane. It's not super important. And on my third board, which is my last board, I don't even bother getting this. Blood Orms grant 5% increased damage up to 15%. I'd have to pay 7 points to get this. I don't see why I would want to do that. So it's underwhelming. It's unfortunate. Look at blue, the magic nodes and rare nodes. Whenever you're pathing through Paragon, there's some clusters that are insane. So focus on those. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm just getting all of the damages that I can. So just flat damage, also flat life because life is damage for us and also survivability. I will look at glyphs. I'll also post this link in the description below so you guys can look at that and analyze all of this as much as you want. I'll look at glyphs because I think those are more kind of important to talk about. Again, there's DR on this. We love DR. Damage to close range targets. We're always going to play in close range, so that's a good one to get. I want this one for another chance to fortify. Right, I want the additional bonus here. The actual main bonus for all of nodes around you, it's okay. We get damage while fortified, which is fine, and healing received, which is fine, but it's mostly because I want blood orbs to fortify me. It's just like another layer to make sure that you're fortified at all times. That's also DR and also more damage to overpower. We get this because it's 4 points, but again, it's okay, but nothing extraordinary. Glyph here, overpower damage, insane. We absolutely want to get this. We get, I think, 8, like 40 willpower here, so that's 8 times 22, pretty insane. And also, whenever you overpower, they take 12% increased damage from all sources. Well, for us and minions, we don't have minions, so for us it is 12% increased damage. Pretty juicy. And our last glyph is going to be another DR. All right, while we're fortified, 10% DR and damage while fortified. Overall, pretty damn good. And I'll let you guys like along the way what I get. It's just a bunch of all the damage that we get, overpower, generic damage. We all take those. It is pretty nice. Critical strike damage, we take those too. Life, we take those too. Again, life is defense, but also damage. Injured enemies, healthy enemies, we just take all of those. All right, I'll let you guys deep dive into that if you want to. My advice though for Paragon boards, don't rush legendary nodes. They, for the most part, suck, which is unfortunate. And don't be scared to go to the magic nodes, because I think most of the power of the Paragon board actually comes from magic nodes and from rare nodes. And there's at least 4 or 5 good glyphs, I think, per class, depending on what you're trying to achieve. Obviously, I'm over-indexing on defense because I'm playing hardcore and I don't want to die. All right, so you can replace these if you want for something more DPS-oriented, or you can remove also the nodes here for life and stuff if you want to go more damage. A warning for a flashbang, I'm going to show you a sheet in Google to show you damage reduction, to see how tanky this character actually is and to explain how DR works in this video game. So warning, flashbang, cool. So I'm a huge nerd. I love doing these little spreadsheets here, so buckle up. This is to kind of give you an example of how much DR we get, how it works, and an example of how much damage we're supposed to get. Example, we get 1,000 damage from a hit. All right, the damage is supposed to do 1,000 damage, right? So we have all of these here on the left for damage reduction. So we start with enemies deal less damage. So we have 2 sources of this. We have a passive and a curse, right? So 9 and 20. This applies first. Well, I mean, the order doesn't really matter, but essentially goes down to this, goes down to this. So the damage should, pre-mitigation, instead of 1,000 will be 728. Then all of our DR is calculated. So we don't add these together. All of these are separate, because if we actually added these, it would be like over 100, and then we'd be immune to damage. So that's not how the game works, right? It's just like they're all multiplied individually, one after the other. So that's why there's a graph here. It goes down, it goes down, it goes down, it goes down, it goes down. So even without sapphires, we can have 5 of those, by the way, in our armor. Even without those, because I think I actually want rubies instead to get more HP and then more damage also. Even without those, we are at 295, which essentially is a 70% damage reduction without gems. That's insane. That is just from what I just showed you, the Paragon board, the passive skill tree, and 1 legendary affix, which is when you basic attack, there's 20% DR. All of it is explained here on what you need. You can ignore the gem here one if you... I don't recommend using it. You can over-index on it if you want to get an extra 7-8% DR, but I think 70% is more than enough to cover our DR problems, right? And also remember that this is just raw DR. This means that we have 0 armor and 0% elemental resistances right here, right? We're going to have more than that, obviously, but for this calculation here, all of this is just because of the less damage and just raw DR that we have. So if essentially in game we'll have more than this, right? Like 70 as a baseline with all of these up, which honestly the uptime is going to be very high, right? Cursed, Fortify, Close Range, Corpses. We generate corpses with Blood Mist, right? So that's really easy for bosses specifically. And Fortified, Close Range, all of these should be up literally all the time. So it's nice. Having 70% DR right off the bat, very good. We love that. So I'm not sure about this, but on the scale, I mean, the graph that they showed us a few months ago at this point, they seem to imply that DR caps at 85%. Not sure if that's factual or not, but that's what they kind of alluded to. So having 70% right off the bat, that means we only need like 15% from either armor or elemental resistances, right? Ideally both to cover, to get at DR cap, basically. Right, so this is very, very tanky, and by being tanky, we do more overpower damage. We also can crit with overpower. It seems like a pretty well-rounded build. It's nothing super flashy. You're not going to be like a rogue just zooming around or dealing crits after crits after crits. All right, essentially, I think we're going to have a 5% base crit, about 8% here. We get a 30% from this here. Ideally on gear, I would recommend trying to get maybe 70% crit. Obviously, the more the better, because overpower happens once per 5 casts or 1 per 15 seconds, or if you're really lucky when you just cast it at 3%, right? You want those to crit. Even if they don't, it's going to be a lot of damage, but if they do, it's just extra juicy, right? So you really want to over-index on crit chance. Crit damage is nice, but the higher crit chance, the better, because whenever that overpower comes, you want that to just boop and explode your screen. Right, so yeah, super tanky. Utility wise, we have a panic button, Blood Mist, another panic button, Blood Wave. We can stun for 3 seconds every 9 seconds. Blood Surge is great for AoE. Overpower is insane for bossing too. Overall, it seems really good. This is what I'm going to play. I'll be playing on Thursday in 2 days for hardcore. And that's about it. Honestly, I'm going to link this in the comments. I mean, the description below with the little sheet here. If you guys are interested in looking at that or messing around with the damage or anything, I'll link that too. And that's about it. I'm excited. Hope you guys are excited too. We are getting nerfs. We don't know for what yet, but I don't think this build will be affected all that much. If anything, this aspect might get a nerf because I think it's too good. But everything else, we're just playing with overpower. We're playing blood skills, which I don't think were very popular. So I think we'll be good. And that'll wrap it up for me. Hope you guys enjoy a pre-launch for Diablo 4 or the regular launch for people next week too. I'll be playing this. Hopefully you guys are going to find a build that you enjoy. And just remember to have fun, right? However you want to play the game, enjoy it. GG. See you soon.